I think I remember when we first started dating, like on our date as we were getting to know each other, and you juggle a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, and you want to be in a relationship? And you're like, yeah, why not? And I was like, is this guy kidding me? He seems super busy. And he is. And he is. But something that I always appreciate about you is that, like, yeah, everybody's busy. It's just, where do you put your time? And you can always, like, make time for things. But
I remember when we not really first started dating, but around the time you were living in with Genesis, I brought up the idea, but it was more so centered on like surgical tech stuff, I think. But we also goofed around and talked about like doing like a friend thing too, like all three of us. So Genesis, I don't know if you're listening, but I don't know, that's still, a possibility. If you guys,
Genesis would be awesome to
hop on and just let everything go.
Genesis has a very interesting idea of work.
Yeah. No, I know. You don't know too many people that have been successfully bouncing around from one job to another.
Mm-hmm.
So Justine, it's truly a pleasure, I'm sure, for both of us to have this actually recorded. I thoroughly enjoy our deeper conversations about life and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to the day that we get to look back on this and see how much we've grown. And unlike...
Hopefully not too cringy.
Not too cringy. I know I mentioned cringy on the way here, but there's nothing cringy about growth, right? Unlike previous episodes, I like to start off this episode with a quote that I have a feeling might resonate with you. So here's the quote. So many people walk around with a meaningless life. They seem half asleep, even when they're busy doing things they think are important. This is because they're chasing the wrong things. The way you get meaning into your life is to devote yourself to loving others, devote yourself to your community around you, and devote yourself to creating something that gives you purpose and meaning. That's the end of the quote. But do you have an idea where that's from?
No, nothing that pops out directly. I don't know if it's to a specific author or
it's
anything
a book that you introduced me to called Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom. And
that's my favorite book. Anytime anyone's like, hey, any book recommendations, like, yo, change your life.
I haven't read it yet, but I read a brief synopsis. It's essentially like a podcast. It's an interview, right? But what's your interpretation, or like what's the breakdown of the book?
The breakdown of
premise.
the book. It's a true story.
Yeah.
It's the author is Mitch Albom.
Yeah.
And at the time, he's a sports journalist, and one of his college mentors reaches back out to him. He sees him actually on TV, and his mentor is he's diagnosed with ALS.
Maury.
Yeah, Maury. And this mentor has made a big impact of his life, but he graduated college. Life happens. He just caught up with work and all that stuff, and he decides to reach back out to his teacher, and his teacher welcomes him back into his life. And
he has Lou Gehrig's ALS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Mitch Albom essentially makes it a point to, like, this is my last lecture with my favorite professor, and they talk about a range of topics: life, death, marriage.
Yeah.
Kind of like those big topics, and someone
big
who
life
has
lessons.
Life lessons, someone who has his life ahead of him, and someone who's facing the end of his life. Like, they talk about those things.
Yeah, and I would attribute a lot of how much I care or value relationships these days to you, I think. And prior to you, I think a lot of my time and effort was spent more towards career-related things and trying to explore different avenues that way. Which
I feel
I'm
as
always
most people are in their 20s.
Still doing, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, as you enter your early 30s and you start seeing your friends and family kind of getting married, and I wouldn't say settling in the sense of settling, but settling down and growing roots, starting a family, priorities change, and this quote, I think, is a great representation of, I think, what you've taught me over the last little over 2 years. And I guess after that, to kick it off, to someone that doesn't know you, I know there's probably many things, but what do you think someone should know about you that is fundamental to you to help them understand, like, your essence and, like, what you're about?
I think I'm definitely I'm an energy person. I try to be responsible for the energy that I bring to any room. And I know that, and we all have been there, right? Where like someone's like in a funk, or like if there's like a negative energy in the room that kind of brings it down.
Yeah.
But if someone who has like a positive and a light energy, it's contagious. Energy is contagious. So trying to spread more of that positive energy.
You tell me numerous stories of when you get the pleasure of revisiting Rush and old coworkers just burst into your rooms, your operating rooms, and look around. Like, I heard Justine's here. And you've definitely left a positive mark wherever you go. And you do a good job in the sense that you give so much energy during the day, and you still have so much left at night when you're supposed to be clocked out, right? So
sometimes I am.
At what point? Yeah, yes and no. I mean, to be honest, like, Justine does all the cooking at home, and not just the cooking, but the brainstorming of what to cook, which is so much energy. For me at least.
I don't know how that's going to be when
awful.
I have kids.
I know. I'm going to have to pick up the slack. But that's what I mean. It's just like you give so much during the day, and you light up the rooms, and to have to keep going at night, I don't know. It's a testament to that, to what you just said, that is fundamental to you. Now, I'm kind of skipping my notes right here, but like, that being said, like, how does that help you determine the relationships or friendships that you create?
It definitely, well, first of all, it stems from...
Because you come off as very friendly, right? So, like, I mean, I feel like most people want to be your friends.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, first of all, that's really nice to say. I think where it really stems from, as far as like the home stuff, is modeled through my own parents. Especially my mom. She worked full time, and still, like, she's home cooking. She's, doing all those things.
I hope she's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And just seeing role models, whether it's her or my grandparents, my dad, like the caregivers around me, to continue that sense of home and hospitality, and like feeling taken care of. Like, you show your love through taking care of your kids or your friends' kids. When they come over, like, making them feel like comfortable, and that this is a safe space, and that like, food is a big part of Filipino culture. So I think that's where it stems from. And then as far as
because we've talked about how everyone could use a little Justine in their pocket, right? But like, there's only so much Justine to go around. If only. But like, so I mean, have you come across that fork in the road where you might have had to say, or be a little more selective about where you spend your time? Because I feel like you do a good job with that.
That's definitely something, as I've gotten older, juggling that, because something's got to give. Like, not everything will be 100%.
Has something given before? Has something, like, have you been stretched too thin?
I think it's more like, say, for example, maybe like the quality time spent with friends or with family, because I've been either working too much or like been more involved in like a relationship, to where it's, it's just like, hey, like, don't forget friends, don't forget quality time spent with family. So it's like juggling the things that are important. Like, I say these things are important, and then those parties feel a little bit left out at some point. I mean, as far as work goes, I feel like I've always had a healthy line.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, I don't know if easy is the right word.
Or is it like easy to leave at work?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With friendships, we've also often said it's a two-way street. It's give and take.
Mm-hmm.
How like gracious, and you're very gracious in all aspects, but like how much slack or grace have you shown previous friends or current friends when it's felt one-sided? And vice versa. Maybe you've noticed it on your end when you haven't been putting enough effort, and vice versa. So like, have you, is there a point where you're like, maybe this isn't, maybe this is the end?
Mm-hmm. There are some friendships where it's like if there's like a sense of like betrayal in it, or like there's like something that goes, those are pretty obvious to be like, you are not a good person and this is not somebody that I want in my life. Like, cut you out.
Yeah. How deep into a relationship do you realize that though? Like, I feel like you have pretty good intuition, right? But like,
well, we all have rose-colored glasses.
Oh, okay.
I shouldn't say we all. I have rose-colored glasses, and just always try to have space of
Is that optimism or naivete?
I forget what's the word, but like knowing that like there's good in everybody. It's not entirely that they're a bad friend or things like that.
On the flip side, do you think there's bad in everyone?
Yeah. I'm definitely part of that. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
And you're just choosing to overcome it, or?
Yeah, you make choices. There are choices, and then there are better choices. It's just a matter of, do you want to deal with the consequences or the consequences of said choices?
You're right.
Yeah, we all have that. It's just dealing with being accountable for those choices.
So kind of like along the same lines of choices, but pivoting towards like the career aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I think many people, know that you've been in surgery as a surgical tech. Can you kind of give a brief history or background into how you landed into surgery?
Yeah, I have always been interested in the medical field.
Since when?
Probably like in college. I started off, well, actually high school, didn't quite know what it was, but was always involved in some sort of like science or like health, like workshops, things like that. College, you definitely got that pressure of like, what major should you be in? So I did not directly go into a science related majors, just like liberal arts, because I knew that like there's still so much out there that I don't know. And then eventually I got into relationships where I met people who were in the healthcare industry. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I do want to go into ultrasound. Okay, let's try to get into various programs. Very competitive in the city of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And after like, you take all these like prereq classes, and it's like, okay, not getting into programs that are only open once a year. It's just like, oh no, what are we doing? Yeah. And then I saw an acquaintance going for like surg tech school, and I was like, oh, what is that?
Did not know that was a thing.
Didn't know either. Time. And then went to an open house. Seemed like, okay, I feel like I can like do that.
And what were the prereqs to go into that?
It's also like anatomy and physiology. You need chemistry.
So classes, not a degree.
Physics, right.
Okay, okay. Do you come out with a degree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with an associate's, and then taking a board exam, a national board exam to be certified. You don't have to be certified, but it's always like a resume, like stopping point to be like, oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Are most employers looking for certification?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And for doing it close to almost a decade, yeah, time flies.
It really does. Like I remember like meeting people who've been in it at the time, like, 3 years, and then you do the math.
Did you feel like it was going to be a stepping stone for you at the time?
At the time, yeah, because I didn't know what a surg tech was, and then I was like, well, when I get into the hospital, maybe I'll meet other people in different roles, and I sure did. Didn't know what a PA was, a physician's assistant, physician assistant.
Yeah, right. I was like, Marty says that all the time.
Yeah. Physician assistant.
Yeah.
Just other like allied health professionals and professionals. Like when I was at Rush, I was also like looking into like, okay, like what are their other like bachelor programs, grad programs, things like that. Did a couple open houses, see if it was a right fit. And what I appreciated about at Rush University is that as part of their application process, you have to shadow somebody who's already doing, say, for example, respiratory therapist.
Prior to applying? Or
as part of the application process.
That's
it's
great.
like a check mark.
That's great.
Like, do you even know what this is?
Yeah.
Maybe you should shadow somebody.
Maybe we should do that.
That's
a thought.
And it was a really good experience.
That is a freaking thought.
Mm-hmm. So exploring those, talking with people and seeing like, what is your day-to-day life?
What solidified it for you?
With search tech?
When you first shadowed? Or I guess what was the tipping point, the pivotal moment when you were sure about this decision?
For search tech, I think it was, let me preface it with like the first time I went into clinicals, like I'm someone who does not getting a shot. And
does not like getting a shot?
No.
Okay.
No, they usually have to have like two nurses in there with me, like one talking to me and one like, they're like, is this girl gonna faint?
Oh no.
But I remember one of my first days at clinicals, and the surgeon was just making like the smallest like incision. It was for like a shoulder arthroscopy, and I was just like, oh my gosh! I was like hiding behind someone, being like, and then it's just like, okay, you're good.
Were you saying that's the moment when you're like, this is what I want to do?
I think when it was when I got, like it was like definitely through clinicals, like feeling that I could successfully like take what I've accomplished through learning through like classes and things like that.
Yeah.
Because it's very much like, okay, here's a couple of lectures and then you're kind of learning on the job.
Yeah. So for people that are listening that still don't have an understanding or background into surgical tech, in one sentence, how would you describe the position?
It would be preparing and maintaining a sterile field for the surgery, where you're also assisting the surgeons and the rest of the surgical team, whether it's through different technologies of surgical instruments. It could be robotic surgery. It could be assisting with procedures, and there's different tiers too. Like there's 3 tiers for surgical techs as well. And so it's like the higher the tier, the more that you're allowed to do in your field.
Okay. What separates a good tech from a great tech?
I think it's definitely self-awareness.
Okay.
And picking up on patterns, anticipating things that the surgeon or whoever is conducting the surgical procedure at that time, like anticipating the needs of the team is probably the main thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, even though I'm not quite sure maybe what the next step is, but I have maybe like, this could go like either 3 ways. So preparing my mind in that way. And I think a lot of it is adapting. Yeah. Because you work with different people, maybe with different people every case. Yeah.
I feel like one of your favorite aspects is working with great people.
And meeting a variety of different people too.
So let's say, 10 years into the industry, how challenging is it still for you? And what aspect of it is challenging?
I think it is, as far as challenging, I think one of the ways that I decided to challenge myself was leaving the stability of a place that I worked at for almost 8 years. Like I didn't know what it was like outside of that.
You've been to 3 other hospitals since then. What have you noticed? What similarities and differences have you noticed between the 4 total hospitals?
I think it's definitely resources, what resources different hospitals have.
Yeah.
And I think it's also too, because like the principles of surgery is still the same, is what I would tell myself. I think what a lot of people get nervous about, I know that I was nervous about, was, right, you're meeting new people.
Yeah.
But it's like you meet new people a lot of the times, even working at the same place for,
right.
8 years.
Right.
People come and go. But it's just like, can you adapt as with every new change?
So not just technically as a tech, but as a person.
Yeah. A lot of it is just like that human aspect of working with other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So also within the last 10, like close to 10 years, how many people have you noticed come and go as techs? Like how transient is the position? We talked about how I unfortunately made you feel unaccomplished in the sense that, oh, this is a stepping stone for you, which I've shared multiple times that I thought
it, for me too, I thought it was going to be a stepping stone, and I've like tried to venture into different things, but at this point in my life,
how many other people have you noticed utilize it as a stepping stone or utilize it as a career,
Half and half.
Half and half, okay.
Yeah, half and half.
Okay.
Some people go on to be surgical assistants.
What is that?
Would say it's
more clinical.
It's like a bridge between, like, you're not a physician assistant, but you're specific to surgery. So it's like you're suturing, you're boving, you're allowed to just do more things.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times you as in the surgical assistant, you are like, say, like in smaller like community hospitals or like surgical like day, like what is it called? Just like same day surgery.
Outpatient, same day surgery. Yeah. Okay. That makes a little more sense. More clinical.
Instead of having a physician assistant or a resident
probably more cost
surgeon.
Effective. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It just depends on the place.
Yeah.
Like at St. Joe's, it was mostly surgical assistants.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, it's November 22nd, 2022. How would you define your definition, or how would you define fulfillment right now? And how has that differed previously? Like, what are the ingredients for you to be fulfilled? What lights you up?
I think
it doesn't have to be career related.
No, and even with that being said, it's not even career related.
Yeah,
that's not even in my world, like fulfillment.
Okay.
What your career is can change all the time. I've met so many people who've had different careers, and like the job doesn't have to be like the fulfilling thing, but for me it's everything outside of that, whether it's like your family life, home life, the people around you. It's like those intangible things of how people make you feel, or like your friends, like the circle that you keep.
Mm-hmm.
I find that very fulfilling. So it's more of a social aspect.
And
also too, like the self-learning, like self-improvement stuff. Like for me, that's very fulfilling.
So growth mindset. But what I wrestle with is the fact that everyone spends a considerable amount of their time every day at some type of job, I think, working. And how can you just dismiss that amount of time? Like, how do you just dismiss that? Like, how do you just let yourself do something that you're not interested in, or something that you're not good at? And I'm not saying these things about you, but in general, like, how does someone not care?
I really don't know. I've worked with a lot of people who they just like clock in and clock out. And
what's their demeanor? Do they seem happy?
No.
Oh, no.
They do it because it pays the bills.
Yeah.
Like lots of nurses and other surgical techs, they do it because it pays the bills. But I don't ask them anything deeper because it's not my business.
Sure.
Like a lot of people are in certain fields because it's, they're other things are a priority, and like this is what it's like. It's a stable job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, it is still interesting. I know it's something that I'm good at. You know, like if I really didn't want to still be.
Did you ever feel burnt
surgical
out
tech.
ever in the last, 9 years?
I would say no. Like
Nice.
I've been lucky enough to like work with a lot of people who, it's not very negative space. Like we're all kind of around the same ages, same like generation-ish. So we keep things pretty light and fun and empathetic to each other if somebody is like feeling like they need to like vent or whatever. But as far as burnt out, I would say probably not. I've always had various different kinds of schedules, and I think with the type of schedules that I've had have been pretty balanced.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at this point, if you were to make the decision to start another career, do you have any idea? Because I feel like you're such a hospitable person. You'd kill it in, I told this to Lawrence too, you'd kill it in any industry. But is there one that piques your interest?
If I was still working 312s, I'd probably be like a hostess.
A hostess where? A hostess with the mostess?
A hostess at a restaurant or something.
Interesting.
Or like at a hotel lobby or like, I don't know, like something where it's just like.
So you agree with hospitality?
You're the first. Yeah, it's like you're the first face that like people meet.
Okay. But you can bring hospitality to any industry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. Like when patients come in, when like,
I'm also trying to explore on the scale of entrepreneurship where you lie on that. How much are you interested in creating something of your own? A lot of guests on the podcast, and no pressure, but like how a lot of guests have their own businesses, right? But like, is there any entrepreneurial bug within you that just needs to get out, or any part of you that wants ownership of something, like wants something of your own,
I would say probably not.
Okay.
Not even probably. Like it's just never been that on my mind. Yeah. Like I don't know if it's because of lack of exposure of people being that in that field. It's just always been like stable job. Just find something that's stable. It was like, okay, I found something that's pretty stable.
Yeah.
So I can live a lifestyle that I am pretty comfortable at. Like, I mean, it's nothing that's really like piqued my interest so much as until I've met you, for sure.
Like whether it's interior design, real estate, anything. Like think about some of your favorite shows. If you were to curate an exhibit at a museum, if you were to give tours at an art museum, like there's hospitality and everything, right? But like what industry would most benefit, not just most benefit, you would be most interested in, where do you like, whether it's a coffee shop, whether it's a museum, like just think about where you spend your free time.
Yeah, probably like at a museum,
right?
Of something that's like showing people something new.
Imagine like curating your own exhibit.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I feel like it's the kind of like, it's like, and like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And like, that's like, which is why it's like kind of like when we started dating and stuff, you're like, oh, I have you on the podcast. I'm like, it's not going to be that interesting. I feel like in the sense of like, mine's pretty like, it's straightforward. It's not entrepreneur.
No, and that like, being said, guests have come on being white collar, blue collar, people that have offices, people that, use coffee shops as offices, people, all shapes and sizes, like all various backgrounds. So, I'm not trying to get just entrepreneurs on the show. It's everyone has a story to tell. I truly believe that. And a good guest has a wealth of knowledge that someone could benefit from, and they enjoy sharing. That is the criteria I look for. That's it. And I think you do. You've been offered several times to start teaching about surgical tech and stuff.
Right.
I know you like precepting, so that was a given. And you've been doing this for close to a decade. So you have so much to share. So if there was a new student you're about to precept, how do you prep them for a case or their first case, and how do you walk them through a surgery?
I think, well, first is just kind of asking them like where they're at, like in their clinicals, to kind of gauge maybe how much, like, is this like your first day, or are you finishing up your clinicals, which is usually like anywhere from like maybe like 6 months, 8 months, something like that. And depending on how often that they go to clinicals, whether it's twice or 3 times a week.
And what's your style? Is it, you're pretty hands off? Is it pushy? How much grace do you show them before, like what if they don't show any effort? Like all that stuff.
I'm kind of like a mama bird a little bit, in the sense of like, let's just see how you do. And a lot of times students, and I was that student too, where it's like, oh, like I'm
the
not
shy
sure.
Student?
Or like hesitant.
Student. Yeah.
Like hesitant. I'm sure they've met other preceptors who are very
aggressive,
type A, things like that. I'm very much like, let's just see what you can do, and if like there's something that I need to correct or that I can suggest
so you're standing
showing
shoulder
another
to shoulder
way.
with them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm right next to them, and I assure them that like I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here, but I also too want to like give you your space to learn, because there's no one way to learn something. There are multiple ways to do the same thing.
So this is a job where you learn by doing.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like where you apply like the things that you've learned in the classroom, and now like from your brain putting it like to your hands, or from your brain like communicating with a team, and like trying to tell like either, if something's not right, to speak up, or if there's something that you need from your nurse circulator, if there's something that you need there.
Are there things that you say or run the students through that help them really understand the moments or the material?
Yeah, I think first off, maybe like going like in a chronological like order of events, like what are the sequence of events to like say like meet a certain, or like to meet a certain goal.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, what's the first thing you need? Like maybe it's a knife. Maybe it's, just like things like that to like start a case. So a sequence of events, or it's like recognizing certain patterns, and I'm like, okay, do you see there's this pattern that they're doing, whether it's like it's a 3-step pattern, and then by recognizing that pattern, you can anticipate, oh, they're probably going to do this again, whether it's like needing a certain instrument or a supply, but like talking them through that. I also think too, it's important to debrief if you're able to, like even if I'm just with a student for 45 minutes, or if they're with me the entire day or a shift, I do like to debrief and like talk about like, hey, like what are some things that went really well? Is there anything that you were confused about that you want to talk about? So it's like creating that space where it's like they can ask questions. It's okay to make mistakes, because I will step in if it's, to prevent a further mistake, but like that these are the safe spaces where you can, by learning, because you learn more from your mistakes.
Yeah. What makes an ideal student for you?
Someone who is just open to the suggestions.
So they don't have to know it all.
No, you don't have to know it all. I don't know it all. I'm still learning things.
Yeah.
Technology that's why surgical technology and the world of the world of surgery is always advancing. Like with robotic surgery, and things are always advancing more and more, where it's like, it's funny when we're just like, oh, we got the old robot from 3 years ago. What?
Some places don't have a robot.
Yeah, and some places don't have a robot to do robotic surgery. But what makes a good student is, and anyone who is new to like coming into like a new field or like a new job at a place, right? every place has a certain culture, and whether you're a student or a new employee, it's always like just being open to suggestions and taking it in stride, knowing that everyone's going to have their own way of doing things. And then when you're off orientation, then just do your best.
How much of your knowledge and skills were learned on the job versus in the classroom?
In the classroom, it's not like you're interacting with a team of 5. Let's just say like a team of 5. Like,
okay, so there's a lot of personalities. And,
So you're interacting with anesthesia, surgeon. Maybe there's a resident or someone who is assisting the surgeon for the case, and then you have a nurse circulator, right, in one room. So in the classroom, you're just kind of learning the foundations and certain techniques, but a lot of it is
on the job. Once you graduate, or through clinicals?
Through clinicals.
Okay. Was it I'm not even gonna go. I was gonna ask like what is the appropriate or ideal amount of time for clinicals, but it's different.
Yeah, I know lots of programs are different. There are some where they were like 3 times a week, and I was like, wow, that's great. You know, you're really. Did
you get to see at least a variety of clinicals?
You know what? No, I was just at University of Chicago, just at one. But
I mean types of cases.
Oh, types of cases.
Did you see ortho? Did you see plastics?
Yeah, because this at University of Chicago, they did a variety of different surgeries. Yeah, yeah. So that was at least the plus side of it. Yeah. Instead of being at a place that, say, just does orthopedics, let's just say.
And at this moment, you're currently agency. How has that process been and going for you?
It's been very interesting.
Has it exceeded expectations?
I think what I've learned is that I should give myself more credit.
Yeah. Oh, can you quickly, in a sentence, like kind of share what agency for those that are?
Oh, so it's contract work. So I'm at a hospital for about like 13 weeks or so.
Yeah, and then they may renew that contract, or you might find a different contract at another hospital. And what are the main differences in maybe like personnel? I think the one most noticeable is pay. It's a little higher pay than being staff. But when you say, I think you mentioned this earlier, it was a little unstable. But in the sense that you still have insurance, I mean, just through the agency, not through that hospital, right? Maybe not as many benefits as before. But do you have any feeling of instability by being agency?
Yeah, because like your contract can be canceled.
I see.
At any time. And that's from a decision that's made from higher up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, that hasn't happened to me yet, but I've heard stories of that.
It wouldn't be your fault if you got canned.
Yeah. So, but yeah, everyone's in it for a different reason. Yeah. There are some people, I've met people who've been doing it for like 20 plus years.
Okay.
And who would never go back. I've met people who...
Agency?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They've been doing the contract work for 20 plus years.
Okay.
And who love it. They wouldn't go back to being staff. And then there are people who are staff who used to be agency.
Nice to know the opportunity's there.
Yeah, it's there. And I feel like it comes in waves, and it'll always come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I cut you off when you said give yourself more credit. Can you share or elaborate, like overcoming what types of challenges going to by now four different hospitals?
I think it was like, can I do this?
Okay.
Like I had been thinking about it for a couple years, but been scared to do so because I'm leaving what I know behind. Like I know the ins and outs. You're just familiar, comfortable, and seeing if I could put myself in an uncomfortable new environment, but telling myself the foundations of the job are still the same. So like, you'll be fine. And it turns out I was. And it was great. And I always encourage people to just like try it out, because then it's only like 13 weeks. It's a short amount of time. You can even do contract work for like 10 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever.
It does fly by. Have you had any memorable experiences through agency?
Memorable, definitely meeting like just a lot of really cool people, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. It's the friendships, the fast friendships that you make, and the camaraderie. Like, I feel like is.
And is that surprising? Because from an outsider's perspective, there's a culture shift between staff and agency, right? But like, mm-hmm. Sounds like it was kind of the otherwise.
Yeah, and I feel like that's on the culture of from each place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm glad that my first contract, everyone was really nice and supportive and super helpful, and just like hanging out just like friends. It's really nice.
Yeah. Because
you miss out on that when you leave your home base per se.
Yeah.
Home base being like where I am, where I came from, where I started from, because you build those friendships over years.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of expedited in agency.
Mm-hmm. So, and like some people don't want to make friends, and some people like,
Yeah.
like it's no harm, no foul kind of thing. But trying not to let like negative, like there are some people there who are just like, or some like, I don't want to say staff, but there are certainly people who like don't want to be there. And like I said, I'm a very energy
and it's not you person. It's just them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all good.
And how do you create boundaries for yourself?
I hope you become a teacher a professor one day. And
Dane, if you're listening,
anyone would be lucky to have you as a mentor, a preceptor, or an instructor. Mm-hmm. But what was holding you back, and what do you feel like you need to do prior to making the leap into teaching?
I really don't know. I think it's school, and I think I know that. Like,
you think you need more school?
Well, don't you need to be a teacher?
Depends on what you're teaching. What are you teaching? It's like, if you're teaching something that you've been doing for the last 10 years, you don't feel qualified?
I think with certain accreditations, yeah.
It's just letters.
Yeah, it's just letters, but like that does count in the academic world, I feel like.
So, meaning someone is saying, "Oh, stop, Justine, because you don't have these letters," or because it's your own personal hurdle, like, "Oh, I don't have a BS or a master's behind my name or after my name, so I feel unqualified."
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I know that's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because on paper, like, I've had interviews like for like in the academic setting. Mm-hmm. To be an instructor, and it's just like, I don't know, I feel like there's somebody on there who has like certain degrees or letters after their name, and I feel like, well, that's
so. But if you were, you feel qualified precepting, right?
Yeah, I don't know, I'm not on the other side of the board, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you, but yeah, I would choose somebody with
10 years, right?
I would choose somebody like that. I would feel like, yeah, sure, it counts, but there's the degree thing, and I went into more of like a vocation than the trades.
Exactly.
The trades.
That being said, degrees mm-hmm. shouldn't matter as much.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like they do if you're like teaching in the academic sense.
So that was a criteria that I needed to meet. They built a job around this position at UIC, but in order to teach the class, you needed a bachelor's. Mm-hmm. But, right now that we have our own class, the criteria is at least be an EMT, if not a paramedic. Mm-hmm. And you're teaching something that you have experience working in, mm-hmm. right? So my bachelor's, I have a BS, I have these letters behind my name, but I couldn't tell you shit about biology. And I got a minor in math. I couldn't tell you shit about any of the math classes I took. calculus, diffie Q, linear algebra. I don't know any of that anymore, right? So it's the content within that degree withers away if you don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
What you've been using on a day-to-day basis is something that is fresh in your head and you can teach.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I would, if you ever get caught up in an interview or have an opportunity to interview again, that means that they considered you to that point. They wouldn't waste your time if these letters meant something. If the letters meant something, then I don't think you'd get the interview. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you made it to the interview, it's like, you deserve to be there, to be in the room. And that field experience doesn't count for nothing.
Yeah.
And that counts more so than the letters behind anyone's name.
Mm-hmm. I mean, definitely having put in the time helps me feel more confident going into interviews.
Yeah, exactly. You can just riff. It's just making conversation about this case or that case. And, that's how you distinguish experience from just letters.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you deserve to be in that room, I think. And I would say where degrees really matter is graduate work or high level research. For sure, it's more theory, but yours is more practical. And I'd rather work with someone or be taught by someone who has practical experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So if it comes up again, anyone will be lucky to have you as a teacher. So I hope it does come again. Slightly pivoting to personal stuff. How has we for those that don't know, we are a Hinge success story.
And now we cringe.
And you're right.
We did delete the apps.
Yeah.
Because that's like their whole thing, isn't it? It's meant to be deleted.
What was your experience leading up to meeting each other? Overall positive or rough? I generally hear it's a little rougher for girls than guys, but I feel like it's a girls' game. So
yeah, I think
in the sense that you could be more selective with who you end up talking to and seeing.
Well, I will say this. Well, I've tried like other apps before. The first time I used Hinge was like around the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
so yeah.
Spring
you
summer
saw
2020.
Success so fast.
And
yeah.
And so when you talk about like being more selective, now it's being more selective than ever because it's like we have restrictions going on.
Yeah.
So it's just like who's in your bubble, who's not, like. So it's like if I'm going to meet
and you took it seriously. Like you didn't live with you lived with your parents at the time, but pandemic because you worked in the hospital. You separated
I
yourself.
moved into the basement because my parents are older, right? And we have other folks who are senior, you know.
Yeah.
So just trying to be respectful of everyone's living situation. And if you're gonna meet somebody like in the pandemic, but I guess that also still shows that need of like wanting to like have a social I'm gonna find my person, which is kind of
So what was that?
Sorry,
like?
I was looking at our pup.
Yeah. So what was that like? Overall positive or?
It was weird. It was a roller coaster.
Okay.
It was a roller coaster. But I will say overall, I've had conversations and like met a lot of cool people, honestly.
Yeah.
That I like wouldn't have otherwise.
Right.
And I think everyone was definitely more intentional. So either things fizzle out quick because it's like, all right, I kind of know what I'm looking for, and this isn't what I'm looking for on either side, and it's just kind of like, okay.
So
like,
that being said, and that can be frustrating depending on where you're at in your head, but like, what leads to the most amount of success on an app?
Effort.
Okay, effort. But I think
before
effort, I think there's value in being self-aware of what you want, right? And being upfront and being transparent about what you want. What are you looking for? A fling? Are you looking for long? Are you looking to wife someone up, get married? What are you looking for, right? And not just expressing it because that's what the potential partner wants to hear, but like meaning it too.
Intention.
Being intentional. And you're right, effort does go a long way. You told me earlier that I had the best pictures, which is like...
As far as quality goes, right?
Yeah, in that sense. So, it's mind-boggling that not many people... And it's not just that, but you're right. How do you respond? Hey, hi, how's it going?
Hey, what's up? Hey, what are you doing?
What is your ideal...
It's like we're both in the pandemic. What do you think I'm doing? I'm watching Netflix again.
What's your ideal opener then? If you had a date in 2022, what's your ideal opener? Which we're always dating, but like, what's your ideal opener to get someone's attention?
It's well, I do like to go out and eat, so I think it's probably something like food related.
You hungry?
Yeah.
No way.
No, I think I don't know what it would be now.
Yeah.
But I remember at the time, well, what I liked about Hinge was that like you had to like put out some questions or something like that, or like some icebreakers, prompts, some prompts, which I thought was pretty cool because then it's just like, oh, what kind of prompts are people putting up?
Sure.
And what are their answers to these prompts?
Yeah.
And I think I think at the time mine was something like fries or waffle fries, or what's your favorite type of fries, or something like that.
What did I say? Curly fries?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, I forgot about curly fries. But yeah, just like talking about, I noticed you have these things in your pictures.
Like my butt.
Yeah. Yeah. And Victor says that because on his dating profile, there was a picture of him in Hawaii facing the ocean.
Thanks, Jake.
Butt naked.
Butt naked. It gets a lot of attention.
You knew what you were doing.
100%. So that being said, what were your thoughts going into our first date? Our first date, what was it? It was Professor Pizza.
Yeah, in Wrigleyville. Meeting in a park.
I like to say alley, but it's a park, I think. It's an alley in the sense that you can see cars going into the garages.
It was evening time, too. There was no sunset.
It was dark.
It was dark.
Justine just got off work. I went to go pick up a pizza.
Pizza, beers.
Beers, yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your walking up? It's very dimly lit.
Yeah, I had my pepper spray in my hand.
Street lamps that lit up certain areas of the pathway.
I had Find My Friends on.
Very good of you.
If I get kidnapped, my friends know where to find me.
Yeah, walk me through your mindset, because I can't believe I was dressed the way I was dressed. The way you described it, I was like white t-shirt and shorts or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck?
Hey, you were being yourself.
That's awful.
You were being yourself. You're like, I don't dress up on the regular. Why make a first impression to dress up now? Like, this is how I am.
Every time I hear that, I'm like so surprised that I did that.
Victor was wearing a V-neck, white t-shirt, shorts, flip-flops. He had the cooler of beer over one shoulder, and he had the pizza in both of his hands. And once I saw that he was holding the pizza, I was like, all right.
What if it was something else in the box?
I don't know, but I was ready. I was ready with my pepper spray.
Yeah, it was a good first date in the sense that we shared a lot of commonalities. The fact that you were down with beer was great. But also the fact that you're not afraid of vulnerable, deep conversations.
Yeah, we went there
for
being on the first date because we didn't talk too much on the apps.
Yeah, which was another surprise. Like, here's my number. I'm like, oh.
Because it was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, here's my number. let's see if you're really gonna like take advantage of this situation.
I texted, right? I didn't call.
I feel most people, like, because we haven't met, and I feel like in this day and age, lots of people are like, "Oh, you called?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
FaceTime.
But I know that there was that ability to on the app. So you could like,
yeah.
right? Because there was like
I never did
virtual
that.
dating.
Yeah.
There was virtual dating. So it's just like, you can like put a face to the text or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it might have been maybe 2 conversations we had on the apps, and then I gave you my number.
Yeah.
And then after things seemed like we were like texting for a short amount of time, and it was just like, hey, let's just get to know each other in person. And you went right into it.
Yeah.
Asking was
that hard? It didn't seem hard for you to go that deep, that fast.
No, I think if anything, I was more pleasantly surprised that you wanted to know me as a person on a deeper level. You were trying to get like the types of questions. You were just really trying to get to know me.
What questions or what do other people talk about? Because I don't do small talk. I don't know. What do other people talk about?
I mean, I feel like first dates are a lot of fun. It's like what you do. What do you like to do outside of work? What's your family life like? Have you been... At this point, right, we're in our 30s, so it's like I am aware of that people have had a whole life before us meeting on a first date. Like, have you been married before? Do you have kids? Like, things like that. Like, so it's a lot of that, and whatever else is happening around during the date.
Yeah. Yeah. What made you want to say yes to a second date?
Because we had a really good time. Oh, remember there was a bum who you gave him the rest of our pizza.
A poem? He made a poem? Or
yeah, he freestyled. He freestyled for us, and we were both like
some poetry slam.
Yeah, and that was his form of saying thank you for giving him the rest of our pizza.
Oh,
because we were not taking it home. It was maybe like 2 slices left or something.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it was very good pizza though.
You know what, I've told you this before, but I am thoroughly surprised at how well we live together, I guess. Like it seems seamless, or not close to seamless. I've never felt like we couldn't share the same space ever. Like I never felt like I had to leave a room. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So I call it like reverse dating. So right, we had our first date summer of 2020, and everything is cool until it gets like wintertime in Chicago, and at that time everything was, you're sitting outside,
yeah,
or you're dining in because right, the restaurants you couldn't like go on a date in igloos, a restaurant, yeah. So it was a lot of staying or being at one or the other's apartment, we're cooking dinner, or we like got takeout,
right,
and we're like watching movies.
Yeah.
So we got to have a lot of that home. What are we like?
Yeah.
Like in our own homes.
And it kind of just expedited what it could be, right?
Mm-hmm.
But 2 years later, it still like feels seamless.
Right. It's
like,
pretty cool.
Like, is it really cool. This easy?
I think with the right person, it is.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We're lucky.
Yeah. I think you show me a lot of grace, and vice versa, with maybe certain, tolerating and I don't know if tolerating is the right word, but I think it's more like
patience or
patience, or showing something different, or like. Yeah, I don't think tolerant is the right word. It's probably patience and grace.
That's probably what they mean when they say like love is a choice. Do you believe in that?
Absolutely.
In the sense that like you have a choice to be patient with this person or go off on them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some people like are quick to react.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it. I'm not saying
really?
I'm not. I don't know. I think so.
I've never really noticed. You've always been thoughtful.
You too.
Try to, but I don't. Yeah, I've never seen you lash out or be quick to react.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I know you're under pressure, you don't really.
I wonder if that's attributed to work.
Oh yeah. That's a skill you picked up,
right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't bode well, lashing out.
Oh yeah.
Or,
not a good look.
Yeah. Oh, in any case, right?
Yeah.
No matter what you do, just lashing out at people doesn't. It's like, well, what do you expect them like to get what you want? Like it's, I don't know. It's not the right way to get, or the kindest way to get. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. The other thing that I've learned through you is setting boundaries. I think you do a great job at advocating for yourself and knowing when to say no. And
I learned that from Genesis.
Oh, thanks, Jen. We love you. But yeah, I mean, I picked some of that up from you guys. Yeah, I'll forever be indebted to you guys for that. But otherwise, I'd be stretching myself thin more often than I should be. Is
there anything, when you say boundaries, like saying no to, like how, like what, you don't have to go too far into it, but it's like an example of you setting a boundary or something like that.
Taking one too many projects on at the same time. And that takes away from other areas like spending time with you or the dogs or with family in general. Whether that's podcasting, not just for me, but for other people, photography gigs, anything. And, a lot of all that stuff that people see on social media through me and the work that I do is only, able to come to fruition because Justine is holding it down in the background. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that stuff if it were not for that. So I do also think about if you were just as entrepreneurial, like how much time you would have to hold down the fort.
It has yet to be seen. Well, I think about, with my parents, with them both working full time when they were raising a family.
Yeah.
They definitely couldn't do it without the help of family taking care of my brother and I, and for them being such integral role models in our upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not without a village, I feel like.
Absolutely.
Whether it's kids, whether it's having pets.
Yeah.
And like 2 pets, so it's definitely, yeah, it probably will look different.
So speaking of family, what, within the next 5 years, what do you hope to see or accomplish through building a family? Like what does your ideal family look like, as far as home, as far as maybe kids, location, and be descriptive with smells, with what you with what you see. I smell I smell
someone who needs a bath.
I smell blueberry crumble coming from the oven, with vanilla ice cream melting on top. Mm-hmm. Right, so I smell Jack's dog hair and farts. I see probably a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom situation, a furnished basement, all that stuff, right? I see that. What would you like to see? I see being close to fam, right?
Yeah. Definitely nothing too big, but like just enough space in the sense of like we have everything that we need, nothing in excess per se.
I see, taking turns, whoever's available, taking the kiddos to extracurriculars, everything that Jesse and Dave are doing, just killing it being parents, and just being great parents, I think.
Like definitely being present with our kids.
Yeah.
Trying to help them, and I feel like whatever it is that we do with the kids, like they'll see how it is that we are interacting with each other. So I hope that whatever it is they see in us, that it's pretty positive and constructive.
Is there anything you want to accomplish or do or see before you start building a family?
It's probably like they always say, like travel more. So probably traveling.
Well, soon. I think Gio and Joanna are coming back. I don't know if they listen to the podcast, but they travel with a little, I think 1-year-olds, if not.
Yeah, that would be so awesome
Rio,
for us
and
to
a
do.
dog. But yeah, you know, and Lawrence, who was on just now, like, you know, having a kid does not stop these people from continuing to live, you know, a great life, essentially. Like a lot of people say.
You can write your own book.
Yeah.
There's, you know, you can write your own book and how you live your life.
Yeah. So kind of pivoting to, we're kind of a little bit out of chronological order, but pivoting back to wedding planning. As someone who has maybe thought about a wedding maybe previously, how has the planning process been for you? Has it kind of met expectations? Like, have you learned anything through this process? Has it been fun?
I'll always say this whenever other people ask me that. One of the first things that I always say is I'm very lucky to have a partner who's with me in doing this, because it can be very overwhelming and it's a lot of new information, lots of things to consider, and we're not working with a wedding planner.
Yeah.
Right? So whereas I could see the benefits of having a wedding planner, because
it's a full-time job.
Yeah,
we still haven't responded to a few contracts.
They are that bridge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
they
giving like their own giving their own backgrounds of just like
timelines and stuff.
Yeah, just a lot of things that you would never think about. But we are choosing to have a bigger wedding.
Yeah.
No one's forcing us to do this.
No. It's gonna be a great time.
No one's forcing you to, or forcing us to.
I know.
To do
I always
party.
sound negative. I'm like, you guys wouldn't believe it. Catering was like 27 G's, but like we brought that on ourselves. Like I want this many people at this wedding, and
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to. We both recognize that it's one of the few times in life where we can have all these people under the same roof. So it's more for selfish reasons than anything.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
But when is that going to happen?
Yeah.
You know, weddings and funerals. So we're celebrating a wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a tangent, but was it a year ago now? Lola passing.
That had to be 2020.
2 years. Oh wow, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
What has, like, because I know you guys are, you know, you and family are tight. What has death from someone who has been close to you taught you about life?
That just how impactful one person can be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that was just one person. She lived to be, I want to say 102, and she was an educator. She was an educator. She was a teacher.
It was the other. Was it Lola Umali that worked in the hospital, or?
Lola Umali. She worked in a nursing home when she came to the States.
Who's the one that worked at the cafeteria?
Oh, that's the same Lola Gotangco.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So she like retired as an educator when she came to the States, and
okay.
That is like her own podcast for real. But her life is super interesting, and it's always fun to hear aunts and uncles talk about her story. Anyways,
yeah.
But yeah, her as an educator at the time how many people she's impacted, and her being a grandmother and a great grandmother, just how impactful one person can be. Yeah, that's my takeaway on that.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's simple too. If you ever feel like you as an individual don't feel like you're making an impact, you totally God, all it takes is impacting one person, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It kind of brings me back, whether it's to people you meet on dates,
Mm-hmm.
precepting, working with different people in like at work and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you'll never know what your ripple effect is going to be until it circles back to you.
Right.
If you ever get the opportunity to hear that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's like, I know for me, when I hear those ripple effects, like when that news comes back to me, I'm very surprised.
It's delight and surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just makes you think, like, if you've impacted one person, then it's just like it's probably been with other people too.
Yeah, I think we feel the same way, Marty and I, in the EMT class.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of questions, Justine. I think it was a fruitful conversation, not just for if this ever goes public, but for you and I, and maybe for any kids that are listening, our kids, I mean, and then, but if this does go public, I think people will get a takeaway from this as well. I truly enjoy spending time going deep with you. I'm looking forward to the holidays this year. I hope we get to do this again post-wedding.
We will.
And thanks for sharing a little bit about you. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have heard about you. She doesn't believe you. I don't know if you believe me, but I probably mention your name before every episode starts, so it might not make it in the episode. But I always share, oh, my fiance's, she is this and this, and we met this way, and her name's Justine.
That's very sweet.
So a lot of people do know of you, but maybe they can learn a little bit more about you, and understand why so many people love you.
That's very nice.
How would you? I want to close out the episode. If you, I know you got nothing to plug, but if you want to, what vibes do you want to send off to people who are listening right now? How would you want to close out? Let's wrap up the episode.
I think whatever as far as say career goes, you are more of the entrepreneurs. I can't even say it right. Entrepreneurial spirit. It's
okay, but we've clearly established that not everyone is like that.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I get it.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong about going into trades and things like that. But it's you can still be impactful in anywhere.
I think, but that being, it's not. I don't know. It's not about trades, because EMS is a trade. Mm-hmm. Right? If I could, I would have done this at 18. I would have become an EMT at 18. Then I could go to paramedic school at 19, 20. Mm-hmm. I'm just, I mean, to briefly go back, it's so you would have been happy doing anything else if you land, because it felt like you landed in this, which I landed in EMS too, right? But if you landed in anything else, would you just be just as happy, I guess,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an alternate Justine universe somewhere.
Oh yeah. She's, I don't know what she's doing, but.
Yeah, no, you definitely, there's a testament to that. And grateful for everything you allow us to do, the support that you continue to give. You are the number one supporter and fan of everything I do. I think you are the most important person that gives me the courage to try, things that were in my head maybe difficult or intimidating, overwhelming. So everything, and this is kind of what being married is like. I guess we didn't even go into that, but is like everything that all my success is our success, right? But like, and I will forever remember that. And if we fail, we fail together. If we succeed, we succeed together. And I guess what I didn't put it in my notes, but one thing I do, this always happens every episode, babe. I just like, oh, another tangent. It's just like, I always end it, but like, oh wait, one more. Oh wait, another one. Sorry, but
no, it's okay.
What I wanted to, I guess, explore is like prior to meeting Justine, I didn't really see like the point of getting married. Like, why get the government involved? Why sign a certificate? Why not just be, does that change how committed someone is to their partner after getting married? And I've asked several people. It's like not much has changed. They've lived together before they got married, and nothing has changed after, right? So, like, to you, in your experience, what does marriage mean to you?
It's definitely a public commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a public commitment. And
aside from just changing your Facebook status, right? So like, because that could be a public commitment too.
Marriage is definitely, it's choosing to be with this person.
Yes.
Day in, day out.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get at is like, why do we need to be married to do that? To choose. Just
I don't know.
What I think of is like divorce is just as often, just as common. So it's just like I'm not putting it between us. It's a fact, right? And just like, so what is it? What is it about getting married, right? And maybe we don't have an answer today, but like getting married, I think it's going to be the best party of our lives, right? And like you said earlier, it's an opportunity for all of our loved ones and friends to be under the same roof. But aside from that, I don't know if it'll make me more committed to you. I know there's this social contract aspect of publicly saying vows in front of your loved ones, and you kind of feel pressured to commit now because you said it publicly. But would you be just as committed? Could you be just as committed privately saying them to your partner, not in front of a crowd, not on a wedding day, without a wedding?
I guess there's just like that. I guess there's maybe less pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just, it's interesting. Like, why do we have to do this? And I'm don't get me wrong. I'm excited to do it, but it's just something, I think about.
Yeah. I think especially coming from a person because you've never, like how you said, like you didn't see yourself getting married.
And that doesn't mean I don't want a long-term relationship. I'm just saying, like, what's the point? That's what I was getting at.
Yeah. I think
it's not like I have to get married in order to
do certain things.
Live with you or, share a bed with you. I'm not any less committed to you now than I will be later.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
On the flip side, I am very much so looking forward to being in the same room with every one of our loved ones. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting feeling.
Yeah, I think it's just more so of like you said, like there's like that social contract of it. There's like the legal parts of it,
economical taxes and stuff like that. But aside from that, just this promise you make to this other person can be made privately.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, am I any less committed to you right now? Like, what? Like, I don't know. That was crazy to me.
Yeah, but I guess it depends with everyone's.
It's culture
whatever
too, right?
Yeah,
it's
like
culture. You have expectations of like, well, you want kids, you should get married first, right? So.
Then lots of people don't.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. But as people that respect their parents and that culture, it's like you do it.
Yeah. So that's a very good question. I mean, I feel like my answer is very boring.
But it's okay to we don't have to have the answer. It's just it's interesting to think about.
Okay.
Well, that's it.
That was depressing.
No, I prefaced it by saying it's not about us. I'm just saying in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It can be depressing, but like I'm also very excited to party with everyone and share our love with each other, with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I am excited. I'm just saying, like, in general, the concept of a wedding compared to the concept of divorce, it's like, what's the point if you can just divorce just as easily? Like, that I'm just generally speaking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I am not.
I think it
us.
provides. Well, yeah. Like my point of like when I was starting to date somebody, was just like, yeah, like is marriage and having a family something that's in your cards, because that's what I'm looking for eventually. Yeah. Not saying that it's gonna happen tomorrow, but I do see myself as being married and like having a family if that happens for me. So that was definitely a filter. And I think as far as like why be married, and I think it's because it provides stability. There's that stability where it's like, okay.
So for kids?
For kids and for the partnership as well.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maybe it's one of those things where it's felt after.
Mm-hmm. Because then it's just like, it's tougher to leave.
Is it though?
For some, legally, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, you are solidifying yourselves as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that being said, I'm curious because I do think about you, or at least try to. Sorry if I don't, but like anytime I'm posed with an event or something, a project, I do try to consider you number one, right? It's like, oh, is just Justine available, or is Justine need me for something else? Like,
yeah, you do a very good job of that.
So I wonder if that's going to change once you're married. Any more of a priority than you are now, because you are.
I think you're doing a very good job of it. I think I remember when we first started dating, like on our date as we were getting to know each other, and you juggle a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, and you want to be in a relationship? And you're like, yeah, why not? And I was like, is this guy kidding me? You seem super busy.
I am.
And he is. And he is. But something that I always appreciate about you is that, like, yeah, everybody's busy. It's just, where do you put your time? And you can always, like, make time for things. But it's easier said than done. But you are intentional about setting aside quality time and things like that.
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
I do feel considerate, and I do feel prioritized,
mm-hmm.
which is why this works.
So another
part
thing
of it that makes this work
to consider is like, what if we went straight to having kids without being married? Like, how opposed to that would you be?
I'm not opposed.
Oh. Okay, you heard it here, guys.
I'm not opposed,
okay,
but I definitely don't want to be pregnant on my wedding day because I want to party.
Yeah. Okay, so for different reasons, right? It's like, we're not getting married in order to have kids. You're getting married because you want to celebrate with your loved ones.
I want to, make a public display. Public display, social contract.
Mm-hmm.
In front of friends and family.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, me too. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's it. Like that's the answer that you're looking for, is like, it's a public display, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really change how committed you are. It shouldn't. You should be just as committed, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I am, so
mm-hmm.
It's interesting. How many, I haven't asked, I guess, enough people this, but like, how much more committed is someone after they're married,
Mm-hmm.
And how strange of a feeling it is to, oh, now I trapped your ass. Like, now you can't leave. Like,
I feel like if anything,
what a fucking awful feeling.
You trapped me. It's like an Ali Wong, what she said. She was just like, wait, I've been trying to trap him, but actually I'm the one who got trapped, and I'm paying all these things.
You're right. That's funny. I mean, I've been asking you all these questions. Do you have any questions for me before we hop off?
Yeah, I think why did in the sense of like why did you propose, if especially like as you have had previous conversations or like thoughts about like why is marriage a thing? Why even consider it?
Well, I knew how much you wanted it. It was more for you. Don't get me
you.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's input. I mean, obviously, I put input and effort into the ring and what I got, and I it's not like, because I've met a lot of grooms on their wedding day. It's like this is their day, right? And maybe the bride did a lot of the planning, right? But as you see through, my selection in the ring and the effort we put through wedding planning, I am just as excited about getting married to you. It is just an interesting concept of getting married. So that being said, when I say like I proposed because this is something that Justine wanted, I wanted too. Like, I guess to say like this is my wife, I guess is that what it is, like instead of this is my girlfriend or fiance. I guess in that sense, aside from the wedding day, I like how we're working through things. It's like this public display of like, oh, this is my wife.
It's like
I said that like so boringly. I'm sorry, but like this is my wife. Like, yeah.
Try not to bore at that.
Yeah.
It's like there's like, right, like wife, like this is a choice. Like this is my life partner. Without having to,
it's the public display of wanting to be with someone forever,
for the rest of your lifetime.
Yeah. Which there's no other way to do that publicly, right?
That I'm aware of.
Like, you have people that are waiting and waiting for their partner to propose. I wonder, like, if they feel any less. Everyone has different, slightly different motivations for trying to get married too. But
yeah, I think it's another confirmation and assurance of.
So, I mean, if you want to hear the reasons why I'd want Justine to be a lifetime partner,
because
like a Lifetime movie, but a Lifetime partner. Go ahead.
This is a Lifetime movie.
Where you at, Ryan Reynolds? Yeah.
Bye, Victor.
But no, yeah, it's
where are you?
I've seen Justine with little kiddos. I know how much you love being around kids and how good you are with kids. You're gonna make a great mom one day for sure. Everyone has now at least heard how good of a partner Justine is in supporting me through all of my creative projects, and I try to do the same, vice versa, for Justine. But whether it's staying home or coming home early to be with the dogs, whether that's I was blown away by how maybe selfless and generous Justine was towards, like, for example, I've shared this before, but it's like Tin, someone who she's never met, and she heard that, for those of you that know Jake, Jake's girlfriend was having a hard time through nursing school, and Justine, who she's never met, put together a care package and dropped it off in person, pandemic times, right? And you hear these things and it's like, I've never met anyone like that before. So I don't think there was a single red flag. Like, it was all upside. I was like continuously.
Me being previously engaged was not a red flag?
Continuously? Oh, definitely not. We didn't even talk about that. But like, it was always a go. Like, oh, Justine is like outdoing herself again. And outdoing herself in the sense that it could be privately between her and I, in the sense that, like, whether it's gift giving or words of affirmation or prepping dinner, or even after dinner's done, prepping dessert. It's just like there's always something on top. And I'm always blown away. And I acknowledge how rare that generosity is. And the other side is how close you are with your family, cousins and parents, and it's something that I've always wanted. And so, if you were to go back and envision what your home would eventually look like, it's like an open door policy with the neighborhood kiddos just freely coming and going, and living close to family and, being very close, just like how your parents are close with all your aunts and uncles. That's what I envision. And I see that with Justine, and proposing to Justine was a very easy decision.
I honestly thought we were going to break up.
Yeah. And for everyone curious now that Justine said
it's not always rainbows and butterflies, guys.
So break up in the sense that I think I was bringing up discussions of like, oh, Justine, like, do you have any creative endeavors you want to go into? Things that we kind of talked about on the episode, and quickly realizing that maybe it's okay to not be as entrepreneurial and to have a different mentality of not, living to work, but rather working to live. And my motto that I always say, and it's like, I think I just am a little harder on people closer to me. I just have a higher bar. But a motto I say often, is like, if they're not complaining, then don't fix anything. But, occasionally you hear people complaining about their job and they're not doing anything to fix it in their free time. And I've never heard Justine complain about her job. So, when I press her about any creative endeavors, and this was around the time, to give more context, this was around the time I was collaborating with MK, who's been on the podcast. And after every episode, after every creative portrait session, Justine can tell, but like, I feel like my cup is full and it's spilling over. And that is a feeling that I want for especially the people that are close to me. It's a feeling that's hard to describe. It's just a feeling that you can go, and you're in flow and you just want to keep creating. But, you come to terms with, if someone's not complaining about their lifestyle, like, what, you don't have to fix anything. And that being said, you also have to be grateful for the fact that Justine allows me to be as creative as I am.
And I appreciate that you are a creative person. And
so yeah, that's the context. Like, there wasn't a sense that I was going to break up with Justine. I'm sorry you felt that way, but it's a conversation you'd rather have then.
Well,
than afterwards, right?
We were definitely having like a series of different conversations, and I think too, it was just like, I feel because at that point, like, I didn't know, but like at that point you already had like the ring, or like just waiting for the ring, it was literally in our bedroom. Yeah. But I think it was just more like you were trying to dig deeper into like, what does marriage mean for you? Like what, before proposing, because it's just like, if you didn't propose, it's like it's never happened. But I think you were just trying to dig deeper onto like where I was at, and like what does marriage really mean.
It made it real. Thinking about spending the rest of your life with someone, you want to make it right? You want to do it right, and you want to ensure that the person that you're getting married to. So I acknowledge that.
Yeah, I definitely thrive more in a stable environment. Yeah. So I know that for me, marriage is a form of stability.
Okay. Any more so than what we have right now?
I think it's just like another stamp.
Okay.
On top of it.
All right.
Yeah.
Like, is there a feeling that, like, I would leave or you would leave?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Even now?
Yeah,
I guess
absolutely.
It's happened before, right? But
it's happened before. Like, so it's...
By the way, guys, I mean, we haven't talked about it yet, but the fact that Justine, you seem very, very emotionally stable and healed, and I can't imagine the amount of work you put into that. But,
and the amount of people who have helped me get through it.
Traumatically ending a 7-year relationship is brutal for anyone. And Justine has been the most graceful through it all, and I didn't get to see her through the rough patches. I only met her after, right?
Yeah, I've been previously engaged and had relationships in between then and meeting Victor.
Yeah.
So
we were in our hoe phases.
Now I'm a domestic hoe.
Domestic hoe.
My mom's like, what's that? Yard work.
That's funny.
I think so too, where it's just more of like I remember 2 months into us dating.
Okay.
Or being like into our relationship rather, it's, you know, you brought up like, let's look at rings, and I was like,
I scared you, Anna. I scared you at that point.
Maybe not scared me, but I was like, what's going on here? Like, why are you jumping into this so quick?
Yeah, Victor, why are you jumping into this?
It's just like, I know I'm like great and everything, and I really love this. I would be down to marry you, but like, what is your intentions? Is there something wrong with you that you want to lock down and trap me?
What was the dialogue between you and Jen? Like, did Jen share any reservations? Is it just too soon, or like, what was the dialogue between you guys?
I'm trying to think of like, why would someone want to jump in very quickly?
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, clearly like infatuated, but just kind of like, is this a feeling for right now, or is this a feeling for like a true feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah. A true sustainable feeling.
And what makes something sustainable now?
The fact that we're still here, and we're still like doing right. Like, we have sustained with each other for 2 years and some months.
Yeah.
You know, instead of just like 2 months and being like Love is Blind. It's been like, we've been dating in the pods for 2 months, and it's like, I love you, let's get married. You definitely would have proposed to somebody, and then I feel like on the altar you would have been like, I do not.
That's funny. Yeah, probably.
Right? Because that shows like over time, right? Because then we go through like living together. We go through, like how long people cannot keep up charades for a long period of time if you're faking things, right? Faking things that like, whether it's like, I'm trying to be a certain way because...
Or the honeymoon phase, right?
Right, exactly. And when the honeymoon phase is over, how do we deal with conflicts? How do we deal with each other's habits that we may not necessarily, I don't know, like or are used to? Or I think because we've both stayed curious about like, whatever it be, like whether it's like work habits or like, how do you keep your home? Right? Everyday living, like how do we like sustain that and still date? How do we sustain that and still show up for each other and be thoughtful and kind is pretty important, and those are things that you can only tell with time.
Yeah, I think we've done a good job with that. Which you do get a sense of stability from that.
And consistency too.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no regrets.
No regrets.
Regrets. Yeah, still excited. Yeah, that's a good place to end it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone has questions for Justine, let her know. You know where to reach her. But yeah, Justine, I love you. Thank you for coming on. I'm excited to marry you.
I love you, Victor Chan.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.